So since the last Direct, as I'm sure everyone else on the internet has been, I've been thinking a lot about who's going to get into Smash, especially with the second Fighter Pass. And if you consider it's only been a year and we've already got the second Fighter Pass, I don't think it'll be too crazy to think we may even get like a third Fighter Pass or an Echo Fighter Pass or something like that. But let's not get ahead of ourselves, let's just try thinking about the second Fighter Pass in the 5th slot. So I won't be talking about any Echo Fighters, though I do think we're going to see at least a couple more of those in the future. Also, this is different to my last video because that video was who I want to see in, and this video is more based on who I think will get in. So first of all, since I have to get this guy out of the way, Steve is almost definitely going to get some kind of representation. Personally, I think he's more likely to get like a Mii outfit and a stage and music, but just with his popularity and demand, in my opinion, he has quite a strong chance of actually being a character in the game, especially when you consider that we've got most likely around 6 more slots to work with. He's bound to get some representation somewhere. I don't know about you though, but I'd be perfectly happy if you just give him a Mii costume, a stage, and a music track or two. Though I have kind of accepted the fact that he's most likely going to be a fighter. So I think Balloon Fighter has quite a good chance of getting in because first of all, it was programmed almost entirely by the late Iwata, who Sakurai was very close with, and at the recent Japan Game Awards, Sakurai had said that the reason why he's working so hard on Ultimate and bringing as many characters as he can and making the game as good as it is because it was the last assignment given to him by Iwata. And as a character, I think he'd fit in great in Smash Bros. He's already got a stage and a few music tracks. And I also think it'd be a great tribute to Iwata to have him in the game. I think it'd be a great thing to have him in because we also don't have too many retro reps. Like, we used to have a lot, but now that the roster has gotten so big, in comparison, the amount of arcade and retro reps we had is not very much. So I think we've probably got another retro character down the lines at some point, and my money would be on Balloon Fighter. So we haven't had a Bandai Namco rep yet, and I think when we do, it's almost definitely going to be a Tales of character, probably Lloyd from Tales of Symphonia, just because that game was so big back on the GameCube and he's kind of the face of the Tales series. I also wouldn't be surprised if it was one of the newer ones. I'll be honest, I haven't really played the series too much, but I know it is really popular in Japan. It's got a huge following in the West too, but I also have another prediction for the Bandai Namco rep, which I've talked about before, and that's Solaire from Dark Souls. Now I think if we did get a Bandai Namco rep, it would be someone from Tales, but I don't really see why we can't have 2 reps. And Solaire has had an amiibo already, although that doesn't really say anything for Smash, it says something for Nintendo. So this is kind of 2 in 1, but yeah, someone from Tales or Solaire for Bandai Namco. Okay, this is a polarizing prediction, but I think Reimu Hakurai from Toho is going to be in Smash. Now, I think this because just think about how popular this franchise is, not only in Japan but in the West as well. It's got such a following. And also consider that we haven't got an indie rep yet. I think the main reason is because we're always thinking of American indie games. We are forgetting that this is probably the biggest indie series in the world. I mean, Sakurai has said before that he doesn't want characters that are like too Japanese or too Western. This is a pretty Japanese character, but I think the rules are changing, especially since he's trying to add as many franchises as possible. And I think this would be just such a great character to add. She has such potential as a fighter, and the music remixes would just be so amazing. A few years ago, everyone would say that she has no chance of being in Smash, but I think lately, after the characters we've got, I think she has a pretty good shot, and I really think she deserves to be in Smash Bros. So Shantae or Shantai, I'm just going to say both, is probably, from my experience, one of the highest requested characters that I've seen online. and Sakurai kind of has made a point of wanting to please as many fans as he can. I'd be kind of surprised if she wasn't in the game at all. And yeah, I know she's a spirit, but I don't really think that means anything. We also haven't actually had a female in the fighter pass so far, so I think for slot 5, I think she has a very good chance. Or speaking of females in the fighter pass, I don't think it's too unlikely that we might get someone like 2B. Now, I'll admit I still haven't actually got around to playing this game. I have it, I had it pre-ordered. I know I really need to get around to playing it, and I definitely will sometime, especially if she gets announced for Smash soon. So with Sora, I think if we were going by fan demand alone and who Sakurai actually wants in the game, we would have had him a long time ago. And I love Kingdom Hearts, I really want him in the game as much as the next person, but the harsh reality is Disney's involved, and I think if anything was going to stop a character getting in, it would be Disney. I think to make a prediction on if Sora will get in or not, we need information which we just don't have access to. I mean, with Sora, I think it's almost entirely just business stuff holding him back, which I think all we can really do is hope. So here's a character I think is another one that kind of has to be on this list, and that's Monster Hunter. We've already had Rathalos as a boss, but the thing is, Monster Hunter World has become such a big thing. It was Capcom's best-selling game of all time. So if you're going by popularity numbers like that, then he has a really good shot. There's also so much you can do with the moveset, you know. And for his final smash he could summon Rathalos or something like that. Kind of like how Piranha Plant summons Payday Piranha. We also haven't had Monster Hunter World on the Switch yet, so maybe that could come as well. I'm not really sure about the hardware side of that, but... And the Monster Hunter World game itself has so many crossovers. It's already had crossovers with Street Fighter, Assassin's Creed, The Witcher, Final Fantasy XIV. I mean, the only thing stopping it having some kind of Nintendo crossover is just because it's not on the Switch yet. And even if Monster Hunter World never does come out on the Switch, I don't think that would stop Monster Hunter getting into Smash. He could very easily have been already, he'd fit in great, and he wouldn't seem out of place at all. So I think this guy has a really high chance. Geralt from The Witcher, I think, is another one who has such a good chance of getting in. I mean, CD Projekt Red have kind of become so well known for being like a good developer, and he just really wouldn't be out of place in Smash at all. He'd had a really good moveset, you know, he uses that sword and he has all kinds of spells. You could have Ciri as an Echo Fighter, that would be really cool. And I can't really think of any reason why he wouldn't be in the game. We do have 6 more slots at least, maybe a 3rd fighter pass. So I'd bet money on Geralt getting into Smash. So I think Professor Layton would make a really great fighter, maybe with his apprentice Luke, and I think he has quite a high chance of getting in. I wouldn't say anything like 80 or 90%, but I still think he has a pretty good shot. He's had a lot of games that were exclusive to Nintendo, and the series isn't dead, they're still bringing games out, there's one coming out in a couple months. I mean, sure, he's not exactly a fighter in the games, but neither is Villager, Isabelle, or there's so many characters who Sakurai has a way of making them work as a fighter, and Professor Layton is one of these. You know, he just has so much potential and he'd be such a great addition to the series. So I'm going to throw this guy in. I don't think he has a high chance at all, he has a minuscule chance. But I'd just look so smart if I was one of the ones who predicted this. And this is Toro from... He's the PlayStation mascot or something in Japan. Anyway, yeah. Now the character I think has the highest chance of anyone of getting in is... Oh shit, here he is. So, we all know it. I don't really know what else to say that hasn't already been said 100 times. I think Crash Bandicoot is... He's one of those characters who I'd be more surprised if he wasn't included. He's really popular right now. He's just had that racing game, he's had his HD remakes that have just come to the Switch as well. Personally, and I'm going to say this really quickly, I'd rather have Spyro, but I think the universe has kind of already decided that this guy is getting in. And hey, if not Smash Bros, then definitely the next Mario Kart at least. As for stages, I think the beach would be the most iconic spot, but there's also so many levels in that game that are 2D and scrolling. His moveset is pretty much already there, you know, he spins around, he can throw stuff, and maybe he can leave some TNT blocks all around the place. I think overall, Crash Bandicoot, I'd honestly be so surprised if he doesn't make it in. So that was some of my predictions. I didn't include Waluigi because I do really want him, I just don't think it's happening. I really hope it does though. I also didn't include Doom Guy because I also don't personally think that's happening, but I can see why people think it is. I'd still be happy with Doom Guy actually. But anyway, these are just my thoughts. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you have any feedback about the video itself, I'd also love to hear it because I'm still quite new to YouTube. This is only my second video I've done. So thanks for watching and see ya.